how to get more shit done. I'm a pretty busy person. People are always really impressed at how much stuff I get done. And like, wow, how do you make time for everything? And I explain, of course, the usual. Well, we all get 24 hours, but I mean, half of it's just hustle. I work, and then I work some more, and then when I think I'm done working, I find something else that I can work on, and I work some more. But the big one for me is that I stopped writing to-do lists. I'm sure there's a dozen apps for this and that and whatever, and I've tried a lot of them. I mean, I tried Evernote for my lists, and I like Evernote for a list of like shopping items or projects. Like if I have a project I'm doing, I'll use Evernote. It works really well for that kind of a tracking because it has the little check boxes, and I can put it in the same folder with my project and stuff like that. But for my day-to-day stuff, like first of all, I really like to have a routine. And recently I've been in the process of rewriting my routine. So that's pretty key. Is having the routine that allows enough play to give allowances to distractions, because like for me, I'm in charge of a small business. Almost all of the interruptions follow my footsteps, and I have to either delegate or solve them, or ignore. It's always nice to say, that doesn't matter, let's move on. But scheduling my routine with blocks of time that are bigger than I really need, but cover the core of my responsibilities, and not putting them on a paper list. For me, a paper list is like the worst thing that I can do, because I will lose so much quality time writing the list. So what I do instead is I put it into my calendar. I write all of my to-dos. So instead of just having a to-do list, because I have the same to-do list, I write a when-to-do list. So, for example, 7 a.m. walk through the store and check all the details, make sure they wash the bathroom okay. Just look for the things that I know are trouble spots, look at the general details and layouts, and just make sure it's done. And then it gives me about a half an hour. It doesn't usually take half an hour. It's usually a 15-minute walkthrough, just taking a look at everything, making sure nothing's crazy in the temperatures or whatever. And then after that's done, decide what next thing has to happen in your list of productivity, and don't make it email. Depending on the day, like right now it's, I'm working our produce section, so it just says produce 4 hours, but I got to get in early so I can, hustle the meat order in before it's too late, and that way I can do a decent few hours on our produce section. And then it's, okay, take lunch, and while I'm doing lunch, I'll multitask, because I'm not really gonna go home for lunch. If I go home for lunch, I just take a break on the email that day, but and I don't check email every day. If I do, it's a glimpse, and most of the time I ignore it until I decide, like Tuesdays is an office day, so I'll take Tuesday, and from sometime around say noon to 2 or 3, I'll just work on any kind of communications I have to do and see. Some of them require bookkeeping, some of them are just questions that need answering. So just work on those, but blocking out the slots so that when I'm doing the thing I'm doing, I can get it. And if I can't be distracted, then I block it off in a way that it's not when I'm supposed to be there. Like if I'm doing payroll, I try to block it on a day that I don't have to be in the store, so that even if I'm there, people don't expect me, and I don't ever ask an employee to lie for me, say Mike's not here, I will have them say he's unavailable, because that's real, but definitely don't want to give anybody that works under me the impression that I want them to be dishonest with anybody, that I'm not available, that I'm in a meeting is real, in a project, whatever it is that's happening right now. Those things are totally good, but being unavailable to the things I have to get done when I need to be focused is really, it's a careful game of timing, because you'll find that everything that that just couldn't wait till later when you're available or when you're present is totally another day waitable if you're not there. So sometimes I'll just go somewhere else. Like there's a cafe in town that I'm gonna probably go sit down for my next payroll session and see if I can't get it done 5 times as fast. But blocking out time on your calendar will actually give you the time to do your to-do list. because otherwise you're staring at your long list of 43 items you'd like to get done in the next 5 hours, and it isn't real. Like, you just can't do it. So you have to realize, like, it's just triage is the other way that you get stuff done. Because even though you write this nice little routine and you're, I'm gonna do a thing, and then you get slammed and you realize that you're already shorthanded, and now you're working a counter and you're unable to spend 3 hours working on whatever you've got to do next. So, but if you're aiming for it and you're generally on a schedule, then you can also recognize when there's a break in the schedule and you're no longer able to perform that task, and you need to either delegate it or you need to reprioritize. Reprioritize what you have to do, put it on your calendar, and then you know what day. And then what I do, like certain things, even if they're daily, I don't put them as a repeat daily. I like my weeks to repeat more frequently than my days. So what I'll do is even if it's the same generalized task, so when I change something in my schedule, I'm usually changing it for the same day of the week. So let's just, for example, say, walk through the store. And I decide that for the next couple of months, I'm gonna be in at 7 o'clock and walk through the store on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But on Tuesdays, I'll be doing it at 10 o'clock because I'm working after closing into some things that happen when we're not open. So if I have it on day to day, when I rewrite my schedule, then I have to answer that by fixing the days in different orders. But if I do it days of the week, then I can just switch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to different times, and it allows for continuity over time that doesn't require me to reprogram the whole month by deleting something or like having to wipe everything out. And because I always ask, for the future, do you want to do this for the future? Well, I know that my weeks are about the same, so if I change something in my structure on a weekly basis, it's consistent. So Monday, walk through at 7, repeat weekly. Tuesday, walk through at 7, repeat weekly. Wednesday, 7, repeat weekly. And then if it changes and Tuesday and Thursday become, say, 10 a.m., I just change Tuesday and it says all Tuesdays and you say yes. All Thursdays and you say yes. It's much easier to rearrange a day that repeats every week than it is to try to make it happen in that moment. I don't want to replan every single generic task that I do every single week. I don't want to write my to-do list over and over again. So write it on a repeating day of the week and have your days make sense again. And then if you have 14 tasks that make sense and you can do them all because you know it's that kind of a task, then great. I try to block nothing less than 15 minutes, knowing that a 15-minute task usually comes with at least one distraction, so 15 minutes is usually fine. A lot of times I'll block, a good 30% more than I need. So if it's going to take me an hour, to do, hour and a half, whatever, I'll block out 2 or 2.5 hours for something, for payroll or whatever. And that just allows for the fact that I'm the one that gets distracted. The other one is just making sure that you're not repeatedly doing the work that somebody else should have been doing, making sure to communicate it so that I can get to my list without having to step on someone else's list because I wish they would have done it better. If you're already doing it over for somebody, then you need to get them to keep up, or you need to just do it yourself anyways and not even have them. So, communication has worked really well. For the most part, people listen. If you say, look, this isn't up to speed, and it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I'm willing to not just do it, because there's a part of me that wants to show how much I get it and how much I can do a great job, and look at my example on this thing or that thing. But it doesn't really matter. I don't need to be the example. No one does. If you're the boss, your job is to make sure that people are making their own example, that they're doing a good job, that you just check it. So, fill in the blanks as you have to, but it shouldn't be that you expect to have to. If you expect to have to, you have a procedural issue. Anyways, I'm where I'm going, but yeah, that's how I make more time. I write my schedule in my calendar and I have it repeat each day of the week on a weekly basis so that once I know what I want to do until I change my mind, I'm doing it.